Well, here we are again, Kathy Drake and Sherry Barron.
Hello.
And we're here to tell you some of the cool things that are coming up for our fall and for our spring. This is Restore Ministries. So
we're so excited.
Oh,
we're going to fill you in.
I know. So we have actually been thinking about our theme since March. Well, probably before March. And I think we're both very excited about what's going to be coming up, and
Definitely.
you know, just trying to think of that one thing that we could do, and so
that's the theme, the one
thing.
And it's interesting how the Lord kind of brought that into my mind. You know, the minute we are finishing up one event or one study, or with our visionary minds, we start kind of jumping out. And I remember sending you an email about, what about the one thing? And you're like, oh my gosh, like, it's just March. We're just finishing up the feast and we're moving into the next thing. I can tell your brain's already clicking. And I was just praying, really, for the Lord to just give us a vision for what He would have for us to do in the coming days. And that word, or those words, the one thing, just began to kind of roll around in my mind and my heart. And so I began to, well, the first thing that came to my mind was the scripture that I knew from Psalm 27. Verse 4, when David says, the one thing I ask, and this I will seek, and that had always been a very important scripture in my life through the years and in my journey. And that one thing, you know, is that to dwell in the presence of the Lord.
And behold His beauty.
Yes, to gaze on His beauty. And it's such a wonderful, wonderful scripture. And we could read it exactly the way it is. Should we do that?
Oh, that might be helpful.
So my mind went to that one thing, scripture that immediately jumped out to me was the one that I had learned so long ago, Psalm 27:4, that says, one thing I have asked of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in His temple. Such a beautiful scripture, so rich. And oh my gosh, we have a hummingbird coming right toward us.
Well, beauty.
Well, yeah, it is definitely beauty. Oh, he's got the hummingbird feeder. I just filled it up yesterday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anyway.
And it's a red throat.
Oh. Oh, that was a distraction. A good one.
Don't you find that our lives are full of distractions?
Yes, they are. Very full of distractions.
I mean, even when we came out here to get ready to do this video in your gorgeous yard, you know, as we're praying, and then to hear the neighbors slam the door, you know, it's just like, bam. Distractions are everywhere, and to stay focused on the one thing that we're trying to accomplish is so difficult in our lives. I know it is for me.
Oh, definitely.
Of course, you know, I'm always involved in so many aspects.
You definitely have those gifts of just jumping from one thing to the next, and organizing and being visionary about lots of things, lots of ministries and opportunities that she provides for people in your work. And it's a beautiful thing, but it can be hard to maneuver and manage in our lives. And, you know, I was, as I started thinking and dwelling on the one thing and what the Lord might have for us in that, and I thought, and I'm sure you've noticed this too, it's like everywhere you go in social media, or, you know, in the news, in the grocery store line, on magazines, it's like simplify, declutter.
Yes.
You know, it's everywhere you turn, and it seems like it's the cry of the culture.
Oh, it's the cry of my heart.
It is.
You know, I've actually started doing that this summer, kind of cleaning out and declutterizing. And
is that a word?
Well, you know me, I'm always going to make up
a
new
word.
There
you go.
So, because it is such a distraction, I mean, when I have my quiet time, I have to go outside and sit on the porch, because if I don't, then I'm sitting around thinking of all of the different things that I have to be doing in my house.
Yeah, all the undone things. And, you know, they're great ideas and they're great things to do. But you can declutter your shelves and declutter your closet and simplify the things that you think you need to in your life, and still feel like there's something missing. You know, and so what is that one thing that will satisfy the longing in our souls? And I think Jesus has the answer for us.
I think He does too, and that's why I'm so excited about this study. And as we have, you know, prayed together and contemplated on how to make this happen, I asked you to come up with just a little synopsis of what the study's going to be like, and would you care to read that to us?
Yeah. Let's see. Well, first of all, I love the words that they use in the different translations. One thing I long for, one thing I crave, one thing I desire. That was the key to David's life. And God described David as a man after his own heart. But then David says, I will seek after it. So we can have that longing that we talked about, but then we cannot seek after it. And there's so many rich truths. And to seek that one thing means to seek intimacy with Jesus. It's that call to know and be known. Because there is joy and there is peace. That peace we long for is found in His presence, in His working in our lives. So how do we keep our eyes and hearts focused on Jesus when sometimes it seems like everyone and everything wants a piece of us and there's just not enough of us to go around? How do we keep from being so distracted when we walk through life so that this longing deep in our souls can be met and satisfied? Each of the one thing scriptures that we will study is about not being distracted, whether it's our fears, our past, our finances, our goals, even our serving. I think we all want our lives to be filled with purpose, with love, and with joy. These are some of the questions that we'll answer in the 5 one thing scriptures. What is the one thing desired? The one thing lacking? The one thing needed? The one thing known? And the one thing to do? And all of the answers in the Word will lead us to fix our eyes on the one thing that our souls long for, Jesus Himself.
I just, as we were thinking about this theme of the one thing, I had to ask myself, what is the one thing? What is it? And of course it's Jesus, but deeper, it's to know Him and to be known by Him.
Yes.
Which deals with, intimacy. And what does that really look like in our practical day?
Absolutely. I love that because I think in this study, one of our goals will be to really dig into how do we practically live this out. And I think we need to answer the question, do we believe that He truly is enough? Because the way that we walk that out in our lives is the reality of what we believe.
That's right.
And so I'm excited about the way we're going to put this study together. Of course, there will be lots of worship time because we're both musicians.
That's right.
And we love to have that be part of our studies. We'll have some feasting, but not the feast of 50 every month like we did last year. It was great, but we're going to take a little breather from that.
Yes, that was quite a bit.
Yeah, but it was a wonderful time. We love that. We'll have probably dessert after the studies in my home. We will continue to meet in my home in the fall. And then in the spring, we're going to do something a little bit different. In March, we're going to do a restored gathering.
Yay!
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, so it'll be in town. In Baton Rouge, but our hope is that if you live out of town and you found us online or whatever, that you might consider coming and joining us. We'll give you more details about that later. Yeah, but I think it's important to ask the question: do you feel that your life is full of chaos? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel stressed? Is there just a clutter? Are you longing to simplify? Well, if any of those kind of strike a chord in your heart, then this study is for you.
Are you looking for the one thing?
Yes.
So we really hope that you'll plan on joining us, beginning in September.
Yeah, September 13th. We're going to do the Friday nights again at my home, and looking forward to all of you that will choose to come join us. So how do they do that?
Yeah, so you'll see that there's a link that you can go ahead and register, and that'll be for our 3 times in the fall. And then we'll send out more information about the Restore Gathering in the spring as that gets closer to our time together.
Right. So we hope you'll come and you'll join us and you'll register. The details will follow on this for how to do that. And we're excited about what God has in store for us and for you.
And the one thing.
Absolutely.